So in this episode, we're going to be answering the question, which is how can mortgage brokers convert more leads into sales? How are you actually going to be able to generate better sales from those leads that you get? To do this, there's actually a stage and a phase, well, 4 phases I think it is, or 4 things we need to look at in order to focus on this. Because when I was planning this episode, I was thinking, how can I answer this in just one and done? But I can't. There's 4 things that you can focus on. If you focus on these 4 things, you will increase your likelihood of, 1, getting the right leads, because that's where it starts. You have to make sure you get the right leads first. And then as you go through those, there's these different points in which, like a funnel, we're trying to get them join. And so let's unpack all of them. So the first thing we need to look at is magnetic marketing. Okay, that's the first bit. When it comes to trying to generate and convert more leads into sales, we need to think about magnetic marketing. Now, what is this? This is effectively, with magnetic marketing, marketing your content to the right people so that that content resonates with them, so you're getting the right people in front of you. Now, how do you do this? You can do this in many different ways. But let's say, for example, if you are talking about working with a certain niche, that's the type of thing we talk about all the time. Are you using specific examples of the niche you use, or are you just using the words average? Are you using the average house price? Are you saying the average income level? What are you doing in those pieces of content? Now, the reason why that's important is because this type of thing resonates massively. This is probably the root of all of it. If you've got the idea and have a clear idea of who you're trying to reach at the beginning, then you can start to signpost and signal to these people. And this is the type of stuff that I actually do when I work with clients who, once we start to hit this kind of point of like terminal velocity, where we're hitting a point where there's too many leads for them to deal with, which might sound like a crazy concept, but it happens to many of my clients once they do it for a long enough period of time and marketing's worked for a long enough period of time. They're too busy to deal with all of the inquiries, and so we have to start to really dial back in this idea of, like I said, what I call magnetic marketing, and this idea of who are you trying to reach? Because if we can get the right people in and attract the right people, there's going to be a higher chance of those being converted to sales instead of wasting time on discovery calls. Which leads me on to the second point, which is pre-appointment qualification, okay? So pre-appointment qualification is, if you've got magnetic marketing, you're marketing to the right people, you're talking about the right examples, you're doing all of those weird and wonderful and lovely things. What you now need is a pre-appointment qualification in which you are able to look at that client's information and see whether or not this is something that you want to do. So we see people do this with Calendly. You can also do it with the software that I use with my clients. I have a CRM and marketing software that we use together that you can do this and build out your own forms. But this is about creating forms that give you a good snapshot of what it is they do. So the type of things that you want to look for pre-appointment is income level. We're looking for, as a mortgage broker, we're looking for income level. We're looking for credit history. We're also looking for deposit level. We might even be looking at their profession. So these things, and there's obviously lots of others there, but these are the kind of main things you might be looking at in order to pre-qualify this appointment to make sure it's someone worth speaking to. If for insurance, for example, we might actually be looking here at medical questions. So we might be looking at height. We might be looking at weight. We might also be looking at pre-existing PEC, so pre-existing conditions. We might be looking at a range of different things here you're trying to look at, and that would give you an indicator of whether or not this is something you should do or could do. Now, the reason why you want these pre-appointment qualifications, again, how do we close more leads into sales? It's not about this magic trick of how you're able to overcome the objection and force people into buying from you. That's not the trick. What the actual trick is, how do you create a place in which the people who wouldn't buy from you aren't even getting, or reducing the amount of the times that they're getting through the door and actually speaking to you. And that is the trick to how you convert more leads to sales, is that you do that. You have to try and get more qualified leads. And that's the entire process we're talking about here. So pre-qualification or a pre-appointment qualification is great. If you are qualifying them on the appointment, if that is at the point when you're actually going to start to say, yeah, okay, I wonder if I should work with you, that is too late. That is too late. Realistically, you're going to waste an hour with them, because an appointment shouldn't be a 15-minute call or all of this type of stuff. That's too short to really understand what you're doing. An appointment should be a proper appointment, and that with an hour, in my opinion, minimum 45 minutes to an hour, and that is you want to make sure you're spending time with the right people. Which leads me on to the third one, which is discriminative selling. So discriminating through your sales process. This one always gets people riled up because no one likes the word discriminative, but let me explain to you. So this is when you're in your appointment, when you're actually talking to somebody, you need to be a discriminative salesperson in order to convert more leads. Now, what does I mean by that? That you've got to try to effectively identify whether or not this client is somebody you want to work with in that call. So you can see at the beginning through this, we've got magnetic marketing that allows us to try and reach the right people. The qualification, the pre-appointment qualification is trying to, again, weed people out. Discriminative selling is actually in person, you going into that appointment and thinking, is this for me? And am I signposting to this client why I wouldn't work with them? So when I have discovery calls or I chat to people, let's say they WhatsApp me, they DM me and things like that, because WhatsApp is only for clients, then through that process, for me, it's discriminative. I'm trying to understand why we wouldn't be able to work together. Because if you do that, by the way, there's a great psychology shift, which is people want things they potentially can't have. They want to be able to get into things they potentially can't get into. It's like exclusivity, but it also is that you need to have the confidence and power for you to be able to say, I don't want to work with you. And it's okay to do that. When you do that, by the way, that's how you're going to convert more leads into sales, is because there's a weird power dynamic, a weird power shift in which when you're talking to your client or your prospect, you're not begging for them for business. And because you're not begging for the business, then you start to feel empowered and you're able to be a much better advisor than you would be. And that's going to make people want to work with you, because confidence is also competence. And that makes people go, I want the best person to deal with my mortgage. I want the best person to advise me. That is what we're trying to go for here. The hard bit, though, is in that discriminative selling. If you are saying to people, oh, you can contact me whenever you want, you want to outline terms of service, you want to be very clear, this is who I work with, what I don't work with. And if there's something in that person's situation that you are like, I don't want to do this, tell them. Say, I'm sorry. Like, I do this in my discovery calls, and I learned this from this method, is that in these appointments, highlight the things you're concerned about. So you say, I am actually concerned about, I like your situation, I would be really interested in working with you, except I'm quite concerned about this and this. Could you please elaborate on this for me, just so I can get my head around it, because I want to make sure that I can help you and do the best I possibly can for you. So please, could you just talk a little bit more on these concerns? What that does is flipping the switch and making people start to sell themselves to you. Discriminative selling, by making them and not being afraid of actually saying to that person, you're not the right person for me. If you start doing everything, if you're like, I don't want that 50 grand remortgage, yes, you're going to get caught with that. If I don't want it, but I'm going to do it, guess what? You're going to be stuck with those 50 grand remortgages for the rest of your life, because you're going to keep getting them because you're not having the guts or the balls to turn around and say, sorry, this isn't for me. So you need to start to understand that type of the process. And when you get that, you will start to win. Now, if they've got all the way through to this stage 4, which you can most likely, like I say, is pretty robust, then we get to stage 4, which is called emotional anchoring. And it's actually anchoring. I've said anchoring on the top there. So emotional anchoring is that at this point, once you've gone through the discriminative sale, you're trying to get these people through, when it comes to trying to close them, and so that idea of discriminative selling will close them in regards to like maybe making them decide they want to work with you. But the emotional anchoring is the key to all of it. And it's the key to the insurance side of it for sure, but it's the key to everything really, is that creating a situation in which the person is making the decision, how do you convert this lead into a sale? The ultimate goal is to try and create a place where this decision is made from a place of emotion. It's made from I think it's the limbic brain, not the neocortex. That's what I'm trying to remember the names of the brain. The limbic brain, from my understanding, could get those two wrong, but the limbic brain, from remembering correctly, is the part of the brain that makes emotional decisions. The neocortex is the part of the brain that makes rational decisions. And yet most of the time we think that everyone makes rational decisions, but we don't. We make emotional decisions, and that's the limbic brain. And we're trying to tap into that wherever possible. And when we can do this, so how do you do this? Remembering that it's not about the rate, it's about the mortgage, about the house. So it's not about the mortgage, it's about the house, not about the rate, it's about being able to achieve something they want. It's not about the speed of service, it's about being felt like they've been heard. It's about being felt like someone's keeping them safe or someone's keeping them informed. It's not, when it comes to insurance, it's not about this is all the benefits you're going to get. It's not about the fact that 1 and 2 get cancer and you're going to be able to clear your mortgage if that happens. It's about you are able to preserve your life and continue to create the memories that you currently have. all of these things are anchored in emotion. If you can anchor your selling in emotion, you can anchor your pitching in emotion, then you'll do very well, because what you'll start to realize is that none of this stuff actually matters. One of my favorite things with this, one of my clients, Carla Edwards, talks about this, where when we first started working together many years now, she knows she's got a lot of product knowledge now, but she said, I don't have much product knowledge at the beginning, because she didn't need product knowledge. And this is something that people go, oh, I need all this. No, you don't. All she needed was the ability to be able to emotionally connect with the client, with the prospect, with that lead, and then be able to understand their situation and then effectively hold the mirror back and go, this is the type of product you'd probably want in order to fix all those things or protect all those things you've just told me about. Outside of that, once it was then, she could do her own research to find the exact product with the features and benefits. She didn't have to know it all. Now, many years in now, she does know lots of them. She's done like countless insurance sales, one of the highest insurance sales person in the UK. Individual advisor in the UK. Like, it's insane what she's done now. Her product knowledge is ridiculous, but it wasn't. And it was all about her success was built not on knowing all the products. It was built on knowing how to anchor and connect with humans. And so if you can connect with your client in a very real way, you'll do very well. So if you think about this, if you want to try and generate leads and turn those leads, if you're trying to turn those more leads into sales, first of all, you want to focus on that magnetic marketing, getting the right type of person, the right type of message to try and actually apply to speak to you and book an appointment. Then you want that pre-appointment qualification to really be able to signal out who is good and who is bad, and don't be afraid to kick them to the curb if they are. Discriminative selling, when you're on that appointment, make sure you're making it very clear to them the concerns you may have about their situation. Make them start to try and sell to you. If they are selling to you, then the power dynamic is going to shift, and that's going to make your life significantly easier. And then from there, you want to do the emotional anchoring, which is connecting all of the things they're trying to purchase to an emotional situation and not to a actual benefit or practical or logical thing. And if you do that, you are going to close significantly more leads. You're going to get significantly higher fees if you wanted to charge it. You're going to get significantly larger mortgages because you'll be able to pick the right type of people, and you'll get significantly higher insurance premiums, which, by the way, will make your life significantly more wealthy. So do those things and that will sort you out. If you've enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe wherever you're watching or listening, whether you're on the podcast, whether you're watching me on the YouTube channel, and also check out the Mortgage Marketing Blueprint, which is completely free, in the show notes, or go to ashborland.com/blueprint. And if you've got a question that you'd answered on the show yourself, because that's where these questions come from, then go to ashborland.com/question, and I will be more than happy to answer that question and put it in the rotation of the show.